good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on when you're watching this. Hello and welcome to the Third and Long podcast. As always, I am with my trusty, I want to say sidekick, but I'm going to go with co-host, Oliver Henderson. And we've
Couldn't
got a
make up
good,
your mind that week then, no.
we've got a good show planned, haven't we?
We have. It's been a busy old week.
It's
You
two. It's
gotta,
exactly 2 weeks until the season starts.
yeah, you've got to love the NFL throwing things up the last second, don't we?
Yeah,
How are you, Mr. Hope?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired, but it's been a good week.
It's the working week for you, mate. It's the working
Yeah.
week. I've just realised I got the wrong banner rolling across the bottom of the screen. Let's get that one on there for a minute. As always, ladies and gentlemen, please get involved with the show. Drop us a comment, get involved. We will show them up on the show. Have a chat to you via comment, as we do per always. Give us a follow on here, give us a follow on Twitter and on YouTube. All helps. This will be on the on StreamYard. No, we are on StreamYard.
We're on Facebook and YouTube at the moment.
We'll be on Spotify at 8:30 every Friday morning and every Tuesday morning when the season starts. Let's fire away with the news because it hasn't been a eventful news of actual news. There's been a lot of people deciding to put themselves in the physio room, and we almost did call this physio room 4.0, but we can't really do that again.
I thought we should have called it that, but Ollie overruled.
But yeah, the first ever player to play in the NFL with only one hand has hung up his cleats after 4 years. Shaq Griffin.
He wasn't bad, Shaq Griffin.
He wasn't bad. He was a good special teamer. Over the 4 seasons, mainly with the Seahawks, he had 25 tackles and 1 sack. He was with the Seahawks from 2018 to 2020, drafted in the 5th round, 141 overall. Played with his brother for a couple of seasons as well before his brother went elsewhere. And he was a good player. And he ended up on the practice squad of the Finns last year, but he's now going. It's good. It's good for him. And he did really well. It was really nice for him to play with his brother. And he, like I said, he did all right. He had a fairly good college at rep at Alabama. Was it Alabama? No, UCF site. It was all defensive player in 2016. Peach Bowl defensive MVP, second team All Pro, All American, 2 times All American ACC in 2016, 2017. So he had a good college career, and it kind of went into the NFL. It just wasn't his. He was more of a special teamer than anything like that. But he is going on to do something else now with the NFL. He is still working a part of the NFL.
I did see that. I mean, this guy is inspirational in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just cleaning up a little mess we had on.
Yeah, I've just noticed that as well. I've just removed the tweet. That was my mistake. But yeah, he was a really good inspiration to people who have discipline. Oh, he's just throwing his can in the bin.
I got it in.
Hey, basketball practice for you, mate. For people who have disabilities, it's an inspiration that you can still play in this sport. You look at the Colts kicker, Blankenship, you wouldn't put him along with Slide Aaron Donald and think they play in the same sport. But this guy had one hand and he didn't let it hold it. He had good amount of reps in the draft, with the weights. He was quick. He was good on the catching receptions as well in the draft. So he put it in the combine. So he put himself up there. And fair play to the Seahawks to take a punt. I don't know how much of it was his brother going, "Go on, Pete, please, for me. I'll sign a new deal for you." But yeah, he was a good player.
Yeah.
The interesting news that came out of this week is Baker is guaranteed to start against his former team.
Are we really surprised that Baker's starting? Because I'm not.
I'm surprised that they've announced it now. That I am surprised about. I mean, Baker's had Let's take last year aside. He was playing with an injury. Yes, this injury was caused by him trying to, correct his error by throwing a pick. But he's had a good career so far. He's took Cleveland to their first playoff in 20 odd years. And he did very well. Him and Kevin Stefanski worked very, very well together.
Yes.
I think that's it just went a bit toxic after a while, which a lot of relationships
Well, I
do.
think what went toxic is that the Browns told him they weren't going to trade for Deshaun Watson, and then they went and traded for him.
Exactly, that's why he went toxic. He is a good player. I mean, he's had 14,000 yards already from 3-4 years in the NFL. He's a passer rating of 87.8. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns. He's got 92 touchdowns over 56 interceptions. If we look that next to Sam Darnold's career, this is going to be
And let's
interesting.
remember they were drafted in the same year.
Same year, 2 picks apart, exactly. So Sam's, passing yards is just over 10,000. Well, just over 10,500 yards. He's had a touchdown. He's only scored 2 more touchdowns to interceptions, 54-52. His passer rating's less, but he has more rushing touchdowns and more rushing yards.
Yeah, but I mean, although rushing is important for a quarterback, it's not the be all and end all.
It isn't. I never think Darnold has recovered from being in New York. I think New York was a bad situation for him.
It was an impossible situation for him. Adam Gase will never succeed as a coach.
No, not as a head coach anyway, ever.
Yeah.
Maybe as an assistant backroom coach, washing kit or something like that. But yeah, two picks apart. They were both in the final for the Heisman Trophy in that year, or the year before, obviously when they're at college. Their paths have gone like that, but they've all gone in separate directions, but they've still come back to the same path. I could seriously see Sam Darnold's career spiraling. I could see it now. He's now lost the starting job in his second franchise. You've still got the likes of Jimmy, floating around. Your guys are still looking for him. Looking to trade him out. Who are you going to say? You're going to say Jimmy.
If we don't trade him on the 30th, then we're going to have to eat the cap.
Exactly. But if you are a GM and a head coach, and you've got 2 quarterbacks that are looking to, who are out on the trade block, who would you be taking? I'd be taking Jimmy.
Yeah.
Proven, sat under Belichick and Brady for a couple of years. He's done okay in
taking his team to the Super Bowl, taking his team to 2 conference games.
2 or 3, yeah, it's something like that. He is a good, reliable quarterback. He's experienced. He's seen it all. He doesn't see ghosts.
That's
yeah, that's very important, especially with Sam Darnold. I think it is coming to very much the very end of Sam Darnold's NFL career. I mean, the average NFL player is 4 years anyway.
Career backup. So
very much so, like a Brian Hoyer type thing.
I think the end of his starting career.
He'll end up a bit like a Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
I think. Just always being in that situation where he is now, it's doomed. He's doomed to be the backup for the rest of his career, which is probably the best for him because it takes a lot of pressure off him. And it'd be quite good if he goes to a team that's just drafted a rookie that's going to be the starter to have that 4, 5, 6 year experience in the NFL, seen it, most of it, and extras. Just to give them that little nudge, shoulder, that support, that support that they need. I like that one. There was been a shock though. I reckon this is probably the shock cut of the week so far. Kenyon Drake from Las
Yeah, this
Vegas
one
has
was
been cut.
surprising. I like Kenyon Drake. I think he's a good running back.
He is a good running back. He is runs. Been in the NFL since 2016. So that's what 5 years now. 5 years, yeah. So He's drafted by Miami in round three. It's 73 overall. It's Miami until 2019, where he spent 2 years at Arizona, and then he's been at Las Vegas for the last season. He's had just over 3,500, or just under 3,500 rushing yards and 29 touchdowns. He averages about 4.5 yards a carry, which isn't bad at all. 1,500 yards receiving yards, so he's a good receiving back, which is it seemed to be a paramount in the NFL that you have this receiving back nowadays.
Yes.
You've got one, we've had one. New York have got a couple. Miami have got some as well. Cleveland have got a couple up there as well. That seems to be that thing, that receiving back now. You have one in your back room. I am a little bit confused. I mean, he's not a bad returner as well. 964 return yards and a touchdown. I could see him go. He'll end up somewhere. He won't be a free agent for long because he's a
Yeah.
very, very good
And
running back, as you said.
with them not picking up Jacob's fifth year option, I'm a bit confused where they're looking to go running back, to be honest.
I did have their depth chart up earlier, looking at the running back room they've got there. I'm just bringing it up as we speak now. They've got a few in there. I mean, they've got obviously a few of the couple of ex-Patriots in Jacoby, Jacobson and Brandon Bolden. Their running room now is Josh Jacobs, Zahir White, Amir Abdullah, and Brandon Bolden. And they do have the fullback of Jacoby Johnson, the German international program player. So they've got a decent enough running room there. I mean, they've got three good running backs there, and Josh Jacobs, Brandon Bolden, and Jacoby Johnson as a fullback. He's a very, very good fullback.
Of course, you say the two ex-Patriots players are good running backs.
They are a good NFL standard running back. They will come in for the reps to give Josh Jacobs the rest, which is good. But it is really shocking. I mean, Kenyon Drake would have been RB2 there easily.
Yes.
Behind, the other lads haven't got a massive amount of, Zahir White's only been in the league a couple of years. Just confirming that as I look, because I don't want to shoot myself in the foot. In fact, looks like he is a rookie this. Sorry, no, he's a rookie this year. 4th round pick this year.
Speaking of rookies, running backs that want to get cuts, I'd like to talk about Trey Sermon.
Go for it. You mentioned this yesterday, actually.
I did. So Trey Sermon is a Niners running back. We picked him in the 3rd round last year, and he's expected to get cut this year, which is surprising because, I mean, usually 3rd round picks don't get cut after a year, but watching him in preseason, he's just not looked good. Do you know much about him, Ollie?
I haven't, no, because I mean, he wasn't there or thereabouts last season. He wasn't one of their main rushers last year, was he? Your guy?
Yeah, well, yeah, he had the chance after Mostert got. He started the season RB2 and finished the season RB4.
Trey Sermon. I mean, you've got a couple. You've got Jeff Wilson there. I like Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, I like Jeff Wilson too, but Jeff Wilson started last year injured, so it was Mostert who got injured in the first game, Sermon, then Mitchell. Now it's probably Mitchell, Wilson, Ty Davis Price, then Sermon. And we have.
I mean, looking at all his stats from last year, from 41 carries, he's 167 yards, averaging just over 4 yards, about 4.1 yards touchdown. That 4.1 yards a carry, that's not too bad. That's a good average.
Yeah, but he just bounces everything outside. Everything. There was a game. I called him yesterday. Trey bounced outside Sermon, didn't I?
Yeah.
So a couple of times against the Vikings last week, he had a gaping hole down the middle, and he was still taking it outside. Just run through the hole. He will get cut when we go down to 53. I'm pretty sure of it.
It'll probably, by the looks of it, it'll probably end up on the practice squad. If I'm honest, it's that kind of player. I mean, looking at the um, average yards per carry. Jonathan Taylor, who and Rashard Penny, and where's the other one? I just missed him. Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb. They're only averaging 5.5. 4.1. Derek Henry is only 4.3 yards a carry, but that's actually quite surprising. It's a good yards per carry, and that's what they look at. I mean, if it bounces outside and he makes him 4 yards every carry, that's good. 4 yards carry, and you're moving the chains. That's to me, that's not a bad average. I look at the yards, the averages per carry, on averages per game. I wouldn't be too bad with 4 yards a carry, even if he is bouncing it out wide. But
Yeah, but when we have Elijah Mitchell, who's clearly a very good running back, Jeff Wilson Jr., another good running back, and a rookie that's looked better than him in preseason, what do you do?
Yeah.
And also Jordan Mason and Jermichael Hasty behind him, and Jordan Mason, who's looked incredible in preseason.
Yeah.
And as when we were talking, as I said yesterday, and somebody backed me up, Hasty is a, solid RB4, RB5.
I mean, with the running backs, they always say the best running backs are patient at the line of scrimmage. They wait for those gaps. And this is what good O-lines give you. They will give you a gap. It might not happen within the first step. It might take a couple of steps. But good O-lines make a gap. And the good running backs, top running backs, wait for gaps.
One of the most patient running backs I can think of is Le'Veon Bell before he sat out.
Yes, completely agree with that one. Second that 100%. He was one of the best running backs of this generation. The other one was, I can't think of his name now.
Gore.
Commander, who was it? AP, Adrian Peterson. Brilliant. If you watch him, he'll take the ball off whoever the quarterback was, and he would slow down before his pace would burst through the gap. Or he would bounce it out wide. He would wait for something to develop, and something always develops at the line. If you've got a strong O-line, they are going to give you that nice gap for your running backs. And yeah, it's definitely. As I said earlier on, it has been a really busy news week, but for the wrong reasons. Lot of injuries to some big ass players this week. I mean, JC Jackson's ankle surgery, that's keeping him out for 2 to 4 weeks.
Probably miss week 1.
Yeah. Chase Young, 4 weeks out, up to 4 games out.
Yeah,
still recovering from his ACL last year. Kayvon Thibodeau, sprained ACL.
Week 1.
Gus Edwards, another one.
Going to miss 4 weeks. 4 games.
Michael Thomas is still not fit. He's got a hamstring injury. Matt Corral has
This one is disappointing because I know he probably wasn't going to start, but I thought he might have had some playing time, and I was looking forward to seeing that. And the one Ollie's been crying about all week, Thornton,
that is huge. Okay, yes, it probably saves little Jordan Humphries
and
more than
Aguilar.
anything else. I think Aguilar was safe anyway. They can't afford to have a 10 million dead cap. But Tyreek Thornton, I haven't seen last week's preseasons. I was away for the weekend with the other half and the kids, and the signal was shopping, so I haven't had a chance to watch any of the preseason games from week 2. But week 1, he was getting separations. He was just underthrown, and I would like to see him and Mac what they could do. Kayvon Thibodeau, that's big for the New York Giants. That he was looking good week 1.
Yeah,
he looked really good against week 1.
There's some good news for the Niners is Elijah Mitchell is expected to be back for week 1.
Yeah,
and there's a chance Jimmy Ward will be.
Most definitely.
But Jason Verrett, one of our cornerbacks, has been placed on PUP and will be missing the first 4 weeks of the season.
Big issue in Dallas with Tyron Smith.
Yeah, he's out.
torn his hamstring from the bone.
Yeah,
That is a bad. That's just not a norm. That's like horrific injury.
I
That
mean,
would be in a major amount of
it
pain.
sounds very, very painful.
Yeah, I've had muscle injuries and muscle strains and stuff like that. I've never, touch wood, lucky I'm not playing like those kind of sports anymore. That where you tear a muscle. I've had ligament damage and I've done God knows how many different things with my knees, but I've never had that tearing a muscle. But to
Especially
have that
from the
thing,
bone.
oh my God, yeah. I mean, apparently it's nearer his knee end as well, so it's not even at the top end; it's at the knee end as well, and it's like
It sounds so, so, so painful.
that. I mean, I don't. It says December.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a season ending.
And I wish all these guys
A
speedy
very,
recovery.
very speedy recovery. I mean, this lip fracture injury from Matt Corral, that sounds bad as well. It's a foot injury basically. So it's almost like I
Yeah.
don't know what it's a nasty one. And then you've got the Colts punter
Yeah, that's
Sanchez
Achilles.
is torn his Achilles. These are like not. These are nasty injuries. Achilles.
Yeah.
Okay, we saw Cam Akers come back from Achilles last season. He got it back in time for the last game of the season. I don't see Rodrigo Sanchez coming back. He's a
No.
veteran anyway. He's been around the league for a few
I
years
think he'll
now.
be back at some point, just not this season.
No, I mean, yeah, there's some big injuries. I mean, we had this conversation. Was it last night or Tuesday night? I can't remember which one it was about playing starters.
I think that was
In
Tuesday night.
preseason. Thibodeau is going to be a starter, and he's got injured. You've had Kenyon Drake get injured.
No, Kenny Drake's been cut.
Drake London. Getting my Drakes mixed up. Injured week 1 again for Atlanta. Yeah, he's more than likely going to be back in time. We've pretty much agreed that yes, you've got to play starters if they're rookies, but you've got to be so careful because if these guys are round 1 picks, you're building your franchise on these guys, especially Hutch, London. I would say Strong, but yeah, Strange. That these kind of players, explosive players, you are building your Thibodeau's another one. You are building your franchise around these players.
Yes.
And if you could risk losing them for a year, in Chase Young's case, nearly 18 months, it's a big, big risk. Oh yeah, Chase Young's was last season, mind you, but
Yeah, he did play 8 games of last season.
yeah, but it's that kind of thing. It's the same thing. You're having this. You're building your franchise, or especially your defense around him, and now and it's Hutch. You're building your whole franchise around Hutchinson.
Yeah.
It's a mad one. Second round of top 100s have been announced. So it's 50 to 21.
And let's not
I'm going to let Ollie take the lead on this one.
Let's not 20-1 was released tonight, just not the positions.
Yeah, so those players are, as I get it up now, it is the obvious ones up there.
In alphabetical order, I've got it up here.
Yeah,
in alphabetical order, we have Devontae Adams, who was number 6 last year. We have Josh Allen, who was number 10 last year. Brady 7. Donald 2. Miles Garrett number 60, who was 16 last year. Derrick Henry 6. Tyreek Hill 15. JC Jackson 49 last year. Justin Jefferson 53 last year. Travis Kelce 5 last year. Cooper Kupp, who somehow did not make the top 100 last year. Shaquille Leonard, as he now likes to be known, who was 37 last year. Mahomes, who was first last year. Parsons, who obviously is a rookie. Jalen Ramsey was 13 last year. Rodgers was 3 last year. Deebo Samuel didn't make the top 100 last year. Jonathan Taylor didn't make the top 100 last year. TJ Watt was 9 last year, and Trent Williams was 42 last year.
So you've still got it. Can I claim JC Jackson as a Patriot if he makes it?
No, he's Charger.
Can I claim him as a Patriot just because he played for us last season?
No,
Did you see what Miles Garrett tweeted out?
no, I did not.
He would be disappointed if he is not number one.
He won't be number one.
But remember what he said about when he was being drafted. If I'm not drafted at number one, I will make that franchise's team hell. He is determined to be the best player in this league.
Yeah.
Um,
But can we talk about
oh, I
50 to
did see. Hold
21
on,
for a
hold on.
minute?
Yep, let's do that one. You've got a few complaints, and our
Or,
our Niners fan who we were talking to last night, Phil, he kind of agreed with you on these ones,
yeah.
didn't he?
Fred Warner
Yep.
should be higher than 47. When Fred Warner is like the glue of our defense. We have the stars, we have the Nick Bosa's, but without Fred Warner's energy, without Fred Warner is everywhere in on the defense. The amount of tackles he makes and everything, he should be higher than 47. I don't have an issue with Kittle's placing because I don't think Kittle had a great year. But I do have an issue with Bosa. Bosa had more sacks than Garrett last year. Bosa had more sacks than Donald last year. Bosa had like more sacks than Leonard, than Parsons, than so many people who are higher than him on this list. I just don't understand why. Bosa not only gets 16.5 sacks, he gets double teamed, held, and helps the other players on our defense. I don't understand how he's not in the top 20.
Oh, I was looking forward to all his rants on this one. So
I just don't
my
get it. I know it's voted by players, but I just don't get it.
my issues is there's a person in that who didn't play a lot last season is in there. DeAndre Hopkins.
I mean, Derwin
How
James
is
didn't
it?
play that much last season. He was injured for most of it, wasn't he?
No, he played last season.
Oh, did
It
he?
was the
Okay.
season before he was injured. Yeah, it was season before he was injured.
I don't know how
Um,
Chris Jones got to 39. He didn't have a great season. DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar Jackson didn't play that much last season.
Keenan Allen, he was overshadowed by Eckler and Justin Herbert for me personally,
I think
and
Mark Andrews
Mike
should be hot
Williams.
now.
Yeah, Delvin Cook. It's too hit and miss. Um, when we go through our top fives in a bit, I kind of dropped it, giving away them. Um, his stats aren't as good as people make out to it.
Also, can we
Trayvon,
just talk about Trayvon Diggs being a 23? I know you love Trayvon Diggs, but he's a bad cornerback. He gives
I
up
don't love Trayvon
so
Diggs.
many big plays.
Trayvon Diggs is a pick six or give six player.
Yeah, and shouldn't
If
be
you
23 on this list.
He's 23 because he had the most interceptions last season. That's what it is. I got a feeling.
Yes.
But if you look at Trayvon, if you look at the other class DBs are out there, J.C. Jackson, Jalen Ramsey, Buda Baker, just to name three. They still pick up interceptions. They do not give the big plays up.
So, Ollie,
Trayvon Diggs is what, a second year player?
yeah,
Third year player, isn't he?
Roger, yeah.
Yeah. You thought, I mean, when New England played the Cowboys in week era 3, I think it was, at Foxborough, we went after him. And he was I watched him, and it was like he is a ball hawk. All you got to do is just move him with his eyes, and he will give up the play.
Yes.
And it worked. And it was KB Kendrick Bourne who literally left him for dead, and he had literally the red zone to himself,
Yes.
and just
So,
walked in for a touchdown.
Ollie, my question for you: who is the biggest surprise for you that made the top 20? For me,
Biggest surprise. Let me just get that list back up again.
for
Derrick
me,
Henry.
you're surprised. Yeah, that was a surprise due to the injury. But
Yep,
for me personally, I was surprised Mika Parsons made it as a rookie because they don't usually rate rookies high on this.
I agreed with that one.
I don't. I'm not saying that this.
Shaquille Leonard.
Yeah,
He's a good
what did he
player, but
used
he's
to be
not a
called?
brilliant player.
I can't remember his
Nor me
because
now.
he used to be.
I can't
He's
know.
recently changed.
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
Um,
I was actually surprised J.C. Jackson made the top 20.
J.C. Jackson. Obviously, I watched him every week last season. J.C. Jackson Apparently, there's a fight at the Bengals Rams practice session. Surprise, surprise.
And I'm not saying that JC Jackson doesn't deserve to be in the top 20, or Shaquille Leonard, or Mika Parsons. I'm just surprised they made it.
Yeah, these players on here, I'm not.
Was it
I'm
Darius Leonard?
yes, Darius Leonard. I'm not surprised that any of them on there because they all had really good seasons. I mean, you're an advocate for Trent Williams being the best lineman in the league.
He is the best lineman in the league. I don't think there's much debate in that. He's 99 on Madden. He's the only lineman that made the top 20. I don't think there's any discussion. He is the best lineman.
Who is going to be number one though?
You know how much I love Josh Allen. I'd put him one.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of the UAPs got it.
But if not, Cup should be one.
I would, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the UAPs got it. I would love to see TJ get it. Most sacks in the NFL.
Yeah, but
in one single season.
It'll be a QB.
Yeah, it's the NFL are QB lovers, which is a massive shame. But I would like to see TJ Watt get it, or I wouldn't mind seeing Myles Garrett being in the top 5.
No, he didn't. He didn't have that good a season.
I'm a Myles Garrett fan, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I still think Myles Garrett should have been banned longer for trying to end Mason Rudolph's career.
That was one of the most strangest, not only sequences of events that happened for that, but I mean, if I remember correctly, Mason Rudolph was lucky he had his helmet on.
He didn't have his helmet on.
Oh, didn't he? Oh, I thought okay, so I got that bit wrong.
Myles Rudolph was smacked in the head by Myles Garrett by his own helmet.
I couldn't remember if it was that he had his helmet or not. It was, like I said, it was one of the strangest, not only events of a football game I've ever seen, but the whole match had
that was a weird game.
Proper rivalry and proper derby about it. We've seen, football matches over here, soccer matches over here, when, you look at the old firm derby, there is no given anywhere in that one. And it was like watching an old firm derby. It was absolutely mad. It really was.
It was a Thursday night game, if I remember correctly.
It was, yeah.
This is a little secret. I was at uni and I actually left a night out early because I wanted to watch this game.
Bloody hell. Oh, mate, it was, it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Thursday night was a club I didn't
really like anyway, so.
Fair enough. I have kind of given it away, but we are looking at our top 5. We'll jump on the pre-season after this, I think. Our top 5 this year is, please, running. Yeah, I was gonna give drum roll, but I already gave it away. Running backs in the league. No, that's not the page I want. Where's the page I want in my book? There.
I usually start, Ollie, so you can start this time with your number 5.
I'm going to start first. Yeah, okay.
Ollie's
very surprised. Ollie's very surprised I have put this guy in. So when I've looked at the stats, I looked at the stats for last year. There is a noticeable exception for his misdemeanors. Otherwise, he probably would have been in there because superb player down in New Orleans. I've gone for Elijah Mitchell. I have gone for him over Chubb because it was a close one between him and Chubb. The yards per game and Chubb's touchdowns more. Average yards per game scrimmage is just shy of 100 yards. That's good for a running back. It's even better for a 6th pick.
6th round rookie.
Rookie. 6th round. This is why I've got this guy at number 5. He's only scored the 1 touchdown. I saw him a couple of games last year. Obviously, Ollie's ranted about him all the time.
I think he's incredible.
So I've seen a lot of him. And yeah, I do agree. He is a good running back. 100 yards a game, near enough. It's like a yard shy, I think. It's like 99 yards per game on roughly. If I'd round it up, it probably is 100 games by rounding down.
He only played 14 games last season. Otherwise, he would have got 1,000 rushing yards, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, he was 8 something.
I think he was 9 something, wasn't he?
I haven't got the stats in front of me. It's on my other laptop upstairs, which my kids
So
have got.
I had Mitchell in my top 10, but I put someone at 5 that I like, and I know you like him too, Ollie. Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones is gonna be Green Bay's offense this year.
Yeah. He didn't have a great season last season actually. In 15
No.
games, he was 799 yards with an average of 4.7, 4 TDs, and 52 receptions for 391 yards.
See, I don't get how he didn't have that good. How much there wasn't a huge amount of play with him. I mean, Devontae Adams was in and out of the season last year for
Yeah,
some reason.
but I mean,
Um, the Dylan, the RB2 took a
AJ
lot
Dillon.
of reps off him. Yeah, took
Yeah,
a lot of reps off him last year.
but I mean, in 2020 and 2019, he had 2,000 yard seasons with 300 and 400 yards, so like 1,500 yard scrummage
Yeah.
about seasons. He had over 1,000 yard scrummage this season. So although he didn't have a great season, he had a pretty good one. And I remember his big play against the Niners in postseason. If we hadn't have blocked that field goal, it could have been a very different game.
So Aaron Donald is in my keeper team.
Aaron
I think
Jones.
Aaron Jones. Sorry, I will get the names right. I promise at some point.
I
Aaron
know
Jones
I know we're
is
both tired, but at least say
get
someone on the
names right.
offense.
So yeah, I'm in a keepers league, and I had the number one pick last season, and I took Aaron Jones at number one. Obviously, C Mac and
Okay,
Derrick
that's
Henry and
surprising. I
Chubb
did
and that.
not know you took him one overall.
I took him number one overall, and he did score me well. He averaged at least 10, 15 points a game. I can't remember the exact stats. Um, I'm not going to give away if I kept him or not this season.
He did.
Um,
I
cheers,
can tell
Ollie.
you now, he did.
um, yeah, I do like Aaron Jones. I'd look at my stats last year. I mean, I put it on there, and he wasn't in the top 10 like yards per game. So that's why I've dropped him. He's not in my top 10. There is a couple other players that are missing in my top 10. People are going to go, why have you not got them in there? But
And it's a top 5.
top
Um,
5, yeah, even.
Mr. Henson, who's your number 4?
I've gone for another rookie.
I know, but this one makes a bit more sense to me.
I've gone for another rookie.
And not that Elijah Mitchell doesn't make sense. It's just I didn't. This one was a bit more expected. I think.
Didn't start the season off brilliantly. The first 4 games, he looked a bit like a deer in the headlights at times. Got better so quickly as the season went on. Became a very good receiving back. Averaged 97 yards per game. 10 touchdowns for the game for the season. I've gone for Najee Harris out of Pittsburgh at number 4.
I mean, he did look incredible towards the end of last season. I think he's in for a massive season this season.
He was. If he'd have started the way he finished, he could have been Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
Offensive Rookie of the Year easily, because he was superb. I mean, he was one of the reasons he got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
He was those last 5-6 games. He was averaging nearly 150 yards a game. You know, he scored majority of his touchdowns in the second half of the season. I think 9 touchdowns in the second half of the season, the last 8 games. Superb running back. Yeah, as you said, he's going to be. I could see him doing a Jonathan Taylor jump in a bit. Who have you gone at number 4, Mr. Hope?
I've got Nick Chubb at number 4.
I didn't put Nick Chubb in.
For somebody that has a clear RB2 as Kareem Hunt, to get 1,200 yards rushing plus another nearly 200 receiving is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I
8 touchdowns and 1 receiving is less than some other running backs, but I still think Nick Chubb is quality.
Nick Chubb is a good season. I think he was carrying. I remember the 99-yard touchdown. Yes. I think that was the season before last, actually. But he has this problem with injuries.
Yes.
Every running back does.
He did start 14 games last season, so that's enough for me.
I mean, a lot of running backs have injuries. It's probably one of the most brutal positions in the league. I think. You are running full pelt at a two lines of 300 pound plus men, and just hoping they part like the Red Sea. You are going to get hit. You are going to get hurt. I'm not surprised that running backs get battered and their careers are so short. Um, Chubb is a good player. He's a very strong player, but I think he's a little bit made of paper. He's had a couple of dodgy seasons through injuries. I mean, that's one of the reasons I've not put in there. 101 yards over, per game, 9 touchdowns. But he's been around the league for 4 years now,
Yes.
something like that. So yeah, or 5 years, I
And
think actually.
three of them been over 40, over 1,000 yards rushing, and all four of them been over 1,000 yards scrimmage.
Definitely. I think my number 3 is going to shock a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, because he's made of like polystyrene.
No, I'm not going for him.
Oh,
I was gonna. I tell you what though, I did contemplate putting Saquon Barkley in my top 5. I've got his stats from 2018 in front of me here. His rookie season. From 2018, he had 2,000 scrummage yards, led the NFL. 2,028 scrummage yards. He was 2018 Offensive Rookie of the Year. I remember week 6 against the Eagles, that 56-yard touchdown run.
yeah, but he's not put together. Saquon Barkley has not put a good season together after that, whether it's injuries or just not performing. He was on the trade block last year, for heaven's sake.
I don't get why that was a trade, but my issue is with New York Giants. They had Joe Judge there, which we all know I'm not happy with him being in New England. I just think Joe Judge wasn't a good a coordinator or head coach for him. I
Right,
think
so
who's there now? I can't remember the guy's name. Who's there now off the top of my head?
Matt,
The ex Green Bay guy. I think he is
Brian Dable is
Brian
their head
Dable.
coach.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really, really good there.
Right, so
And
if
I
it's
think
not Saquon Barkley, who is your shocking number 3?
King
Big
Henry.
Henry. Well,
Purely the
I
fact that he
guess
only played
you were
half the
looking at
season.
you were looking at last season. I've looked more career-wise. So.
Purely the fact for last season. Even the fact that he had only 8 games, he still was in the top 10 rushing yardage. He averaged 117 yards rushing per game. He did score 10 touchdowns in those 8 games, but he didn't have a full season. That's why he's not any higher than that. The bloke is unstoppable. He would have had another 2,000-yard season easily. Yeah. I don't think he would have stopped Jonathan Taylor, though.
My number 3 is somebody who I actually saw get carted off the field at, at Levi Stadium. Dalvin Cook.
Oh, when we all thought that's his season done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, last 3 seasons he's had over 1,000 yards rushing, and I mean in 2020 he had over 1,500 yards rushing. He did drop a bit last year, but he did only start 13 games. But he also had 224 yards receiving. This guy, as much as our ex-coach did love him, he is a very, very good running back.
He is. I just can't remember the last time he had a full season. He is changing his number, though.
He's
Have you
never
known?
had a full season. The most games he started in a season is 40. But
He's
as you
changing
said,
his number this
a
year as
lot
well.
of running backs don't start every game because they get injured.
No.
They have
He's
these
going back.
niggles.
He's going back to his old number 4, his college number.
Yes.
So he's changing his number this season as well, which is quite cool as well. I do like that. And I think his brother could be just as good, if not better as well, I reckon.
James Cook, yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, he
At
looks good.
Buffalo.
Number 2, for me, is a gentleman who took his team to the Super Bowl.
Cam Akers.
No, Cam Akers didn't even make my top 25, let
As
alone
much as
10.
I like Cam Akers, not him.
No, Joe Mixon. So
This guy was my number 6. Good evening,
75
Shane.
yards
How are
carry
you?
rushing
Good.
games. Hey
I'm
Shane,
good.
how you doing, mate?
Hope you're good.
Um, just shy of 100 yards rushing, scrimmage yards, 16 touchdowns in the season, the second most by a um, running back. As I was doing the impressions by running back in the league, very very good, and he did give them that extra weapon, going down the stretch. He played the 16 games because, like most of the offense, Cincinnati were rested week 17. He was It was always Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Mixon were always that four offensive weapons, and CJ Ujimoa.
Zoma.
Uzoma. I'm tired and I can't speak properly. I'll be alright on a Monday. No, I won't because we've got shows. Okay. He is a good running back, and he's got better as he's got further on down his career, I think, and he's going to be really really good
Yeah.
already. Your number two, Mr. Hope.
My number two was the guy last season, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I don't need to tell you his stats last year. We all know it. Over 2,000 yards scrimmage, and it was very close between him and my number one. But I just feel like the guy who's my number one, he's been a bit more consistent over the past few years. And I've done it more over career than whereas you've done it more over last season.
So Jonathan Taylor's rookie year to year two jump is 900 yards rushing.
Yes.
He's gone from 1,100 yards to 2,000 yards rushing.
I mean, he's an incredible running back. I'm not trying to dispute that. I just think that he needs to prove to me that he's a bit more consistent before he gets to number one.
I mean, in his two careers, he's had two seasons, he's had just shy of
3,000.
3,000 yards
Yeah, I
rushing
know.
in total for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he did literally drive the. If it wasn't for Carson Wentz and the Jags defense loving each other, shall we say, um, he would have got that team quite deep into the playoffs, I think, because he
Yes, I
is a
agree.
superb running back, and it is only his second year. People are forgetting that he is a very, very good running back.
That segues
He is
nicely to number one, doesn't it, Ollie?
he is my number one, yes, and I'm guessing your number one is the King.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at his stats. So if you put together his 2019, his 2020 season, that's over 3,500 yards, and he was on track for a massive season this season.
Oh God, yeah.
937 yards in 8 games. I think he probably would have got more yards than Jonathan Taylor if he'd had a full season. And I'm excited to see what the King does this season. And
So
he's
he's
in one
had
of my fantasy teams.
a career. I'm on the wrong
Career,
screen.
he's had 6,797 yards.
Yeah, in
And
86 games.
yes, it's incredible. And he's only started 55 of them.
He's played every single game from the season 2016 to 2020, bar two.
Yes.
Last year he missed it because of the broken foot, which was a training incident, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
It
it
wasn't
was.
even a match. It wasn't even a match. It was happened at training, and I think it was one of his O linemen standing on his foot, which broke his foot. The bloke is. I know I brand this around a hell of a lot, but this guy is a Hall of Famer. He is going to break every single rushing record that the NFL has. He broke out. I remember the one game, it was Tennessee, it was a Thursday night game. He broke out in that game when he did a 90-plus yard rushing. And literally, he bounced out. We had him and Josh Norman as a caption competition last year. Which literally, Josh Norman, I think, was about pushed 50 yards off the pitch.
Yes.
The bloke is ridiculously strong. It is ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, I really don't get it.
So moving on to the final week of preseason.
Yes, I know you're looking forward to Texans.
Yeah, apparently Trey Lance and our starters going to play the first half.
um, I'm not looking forward to us playing Las Vegas because apparently they are owning us in training camp. It's going to be good to have a Super Bowl rematch, even though I've just read on Bleacher that they've been having punch ups. That's going to be interesting.
Yes, that will be.
Um, I'd like to see Jacksonville starters against Atlanta starters. I think that's going to be a rule. That's going to be a good benchmark for both teams.
Yes.
Um, Philadelphia at Miami. That could be quite
Snooze
interesting.
fest. Snooze fest.
I reckon that could be quite interesting.
I think there are some good matchups, but Cardinals are Titans.
Brady is back for the Buccaneers against
Yes,
Indianapolis
yes.
tonight as well. No, this weekend.
We got a New
Um,
York derby.
they always seem to throw that one in along, like New England always play Giants at some point. And we've got another divisional matchup with Lions against Pittsburgh as well. So
That's not
hopefully
a
that's
divisional
not.
matchup.
No, it's not. You're right. I getting that completely
It's not
mixed
even
up.
a conference matchup.
No, it isn't, is it? I need to get to bed. But let's hope it's not like no one wants to win game like it was last season.
Yeah, that was awful.
Why we
That was
mention
hard
the
to watch.
Lions? Why we kind of roundabout go to the Lions? It's been reported this week that Dan Campbell made his players have a player-led training session,
Yeah, apparently Dan Campbell was the only coach out on the field.
and even then, he
Yeah,
was just observing. He wasn't getting involved. He just let the players take it.
I'm
We
interested to see. I'm
saw.
interested to see this on Hard Knocks. Maybe next week.
I think it's probably going to be next week because obviously it was
Yeah.
leading up to this week. So obviously Hard Knocks is on in about 40 minutes over here.
Well, I won't be watching it tonight. I'm afraid. Then.
No, I probably won't be either. I might be going to bed because
I
I'm
think I've
absolutely
agreed to
knackered.
watch it when I'm back in Cheltenham one Saturday with my sister. So
Fair enough then. I like this. It shows right who are the leaders on this team. We saw it in week one in Hard Knocks. I can't the guy's name
Jamal
literally
Williams.
yeah literally break down in tears in the huddle saying, "I do not want to have another season like that again." That hurt those players last year.
Yes.
We have teams who seem to be bouncing around the top 5 draft picks a hell of a lot. Cleveland one of them, Jacksonville another one. I could see Atlanta being there for a couple of years now. I could see Los Angeles being, Seattle being there for a few years now as well. But it just shows that these players do not want to be there. They want to be fighting for championships. Jamal Williams is a very, very good running back, defensive back. Sorry. I respect that he shows that emotion. And it's really, really good. And I'm interested to watch that Hard Knocks episode where it is literally right. Let's see who's the leaders on this team.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. I'm also excited to see this preseason game this week where they won by 1 point.
Oh god, yeah. I've seen a clip on Good Morning Football yesterday. Where Dan Campbell is literally praising them in the change room after the game, and Carl Brandt saying, "I watched the game. I know the result. I was still getting nervous for them." It's absolutely superb. Love that one. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we are doing our podcast draft live on this show next week. I have now figured it out how we can get the draft board
Round of
up.
applause for Ollie because this is going to be, and we will have a podcast for you on Spotify on
On the
Friday,
front. Yep.
and it won't just be us shouting over the draft. We promise.
No, promise you that one.
We will
It's going to be
record.
interesting.
We would have recorded something for you to listen to on Spotify the next one.
Yeah. If you are in the draft, please drop us a message and we will get if you want to be on the show. Please drop us a message and we will send you the link so you can join the show as well. Love everyone to get involved, even if you're not a part of the draft fantasy pick.
Get on the
Tell us
comments. Slate our
tell us
picks.
off and put. But if my son does pick Patrick Mahomes in the first pick, please don't have a go at him. He is 10. He's done a couple of mock drafts today, and he's taken Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen first twice.
Twice each or just once each?
Once, twice in total. Mr. Hope, it's been a pleasure as always.
Always a pleasure with you, Mr. Bella Henderson.
Very much so. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening, and we will speak to you same time, same place next week. Good
For the
night
draft.
for the draft.